Hello, welcome to Dissident Canada. My name is Tyler. Something insane happened last week that just got a headline. Russell Brand was talking about it. Not that I watched Russell Brand. I just saw it on my feed from him. I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't see his take. But it's that the UK wants to use AI as jurors. It wants a jury made up of artificial intelligence. You know, forgetting, like, let's just gloss over the point for the time being that we don't actually have artificial intelligence. We have very sophisticated predictive text algorithms that people have put voice to it and have put in a whole bunch of data and work to it. But it's not AI, it does not think. But before I can go into this, coincidentally, just before this, I started reading this news, I had finished, or went back and refinished, an anime from the early 2010s, I believe. Is when it started airing, called Psychopaths. That does actually have something to do with this. I wanted to talk about AI for a while now and how it's a whole bunch of things are going on, and it's interesting to see people like beyond a new side of the dot-com bubble, and then you see crazy shit like this. But anyways, the reason why I bring up the anime is because in the anime, in the far-flung future, not actually that far away, I think it's only 25 years or something like that, from when it begins. The whole premise of the anime is that there is this system called Sybil that runs basically all of Japan. It is an AI system that uses psychology and biometrics and scores people called the psychopaths based on, if they're likely to do criminal actions of a certain degree or not. The higher the rating you have, you get locked up if it's too high, and whacked if it's really too high, even if you haven't done anything. This the civil system also starts to take over and direct people into certain, career choices. You do a standardized test, Sybil rates you, and it's like, hey, you're really good for this or this, you know? You should become a politician. Like, it's this AI system that subtly in the background just starts to take over more and more um, of people's lives and runs them. And it's fantastic little anime, at least the first season. It goes places. It's just not, season two is not as good as season one. The movie's fun, but it's not as good as season one. Season three is okay. And, you know, then the conclusion to season three, like, you have a conclusion and it's fine, but it does not hit the heights of season one. But, anyways, we are clearly now, you have multiple attempts to build something like the civil system. All right, in America, you have is it Palantir that wants to use AI to do some phishing of U.S. citizens' data. You've got obviously what the topic's about is the UK trying to use LLMs for jury. Like it's you're getting to the point where the technology does not exist to create it, but the path to creating it is potentially there. Like, the AI we have, again, it's very sophisticated predictive text for the most part. Um, if you look at like what's going on in, say, China with AI, and where it's getting its most used is in AI boyfriends, and I do mean boyfriends. It's not dudes using it. It's mostly chicks. Um, and what they do there, or at least what I theorize they're doing of why it's so addictive, is they are pulling all the social media data of a user, because that's available to buy, and then using that with the queries and interactions that happen with the AI boyfriend, and you get an extremely personalized experience that becomes extremely addictive. Um, I presume that's going to cross over into North America if it hasn't already. Like in my personal life, I haven't come across it. But then again, the women in my personal life aren't leftist loons who this would obviously first target. The you know how should I categorize them? Um, the ones who have been indoctrinated with a leftist ideology and believe it wholeheartedly. Let's just leave it at that. I could go farther, but let's just not. And that's also kind of, if I tie it back to the anime, Sybil has a component of that where there are little interactive algorithms that you know are there to help stabilize your psychopaths so that you don't become a latent criminal or a criminal. Like, but anyways, um, you can see the path that some people want to push us on to that. Like, if you look at Elon Musk and what he wants to do with XAI and specifically Grok, he definitely wants something like that. But he's a technocrat. He thinks you can solve all problems with technology. And it's like, no, you want to solve problems with humanity because otherwise you go down this dark path. Like, you can see it throughout history, but really where it gets good with going through that is sci-fi. Oh, let's solve all these problems with technology, and what's the ramifications? Oh, we screwed our society. Like, that is the inevitable warning. Like, I'm not saying I'm anti-technology. Again, if you were to see from my perspective, I've got like the technology everywhere. I'm rocking dual monitors, badass computer I built myself. Over there is a 3DS that has just been jailbroken, Vita that's been jailbroken, PlayStation 4, recording on my phone. I've got other bits and bobs everywhere. I think, capacitors down here in this drawer. I've got shit everywhere. All right. So that's not what I'm going on. I'm just, you have to be careful with this stuff, and nobody's caught up to what AI could disruptively do yet, to an extreme degree. Like the all the news that you're hearing about, oh, AI is taking all these white collar jobs. That isn't actually true. Like, Microsoft specifically is not cutting people's jobs because of AI. AI is the excuse they're using. This is what happened. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember, but in 2008, when you had the beginnings of, real good roboticization, robotics, and self-checkout, that all massively got pushed, like, in the lead up and post financial crisis, because it was too costly. The economy had gotten to a point where it had slowed, where it was too costly to keep on the same amount of workers, but you could get these, one-time big purchase fees for robots, and then use the robots, and they would pay for themselves eventually. And they, you don't have to pay for benefits and all that crap. You just your minimum upkeep and downtime. In the case of factory work, well, then it's just like any other machine in the factory, except now it's more productive. Remember, massive push in the lead up to the financial crisis and after the financial crisis for that. And the same things, like AI is now, again, it's mostly LLMs. It's to the point where you can viably attempt that. It's not, you still have to double check everything AI does. Like it still will give you more often than not something that is completely whack. Like if you want, you know, go to ChatGPT and you give it, you know, hey, write this essay or whatever. Okay, it can do a fairly good job. You have to go over it and correct it, or not correct it, but edit it so it doesn't. It still doesn't get language correctly, and that's again because it's basically predictive text, but you know, on steroids. Um, Everything else, like it may be able to do some things, but it will be always suboptimally. Like someone who knows what they're doing will be able to do it better. Like specifically coding, like AI coding. Everybody that actually knows a damn thing that I have seen talk about AI coding is like, this is really, really fascinating, but everything it returns is completely and utterly jacked up, and I have to fix it. But it's fascinating to see how it works. And like the the non like the way AI codes at the moment is in such a non-standard way that it's just like for like code nerds, it's extremely fascinating to see what it's trying to do, even though it's completely again utterly jacked up. Um, so like this push for authoritarianism is completely the norm at this point. Like an authoritarian regime, of course, is going to want to push for this. Like China's been pushing for, you know, social credit scores, the use of advanced algorithms to control its populace, because like China's going through some shit and has been going through some shit for a while, and it's going to go through some very, very deep shit very soon. Um, there is a lot of problems brewing in China, and like the idea behind using AI as a control mechanism is like the same idea of using any weapon. It's a force multiplier. So instead of having, say, one, you know, 100 people, you know, suppressing, you know, say, a small protest, you can use, you know, one person and some sophisticated algorithms, and you can prevent it through, you know, disruptive means of communication and so on and so forth that you could do with like AI. You know, like you can, like what's being done on social media with the algorithms, which is, you know, a form of AI at this point. Like if we're calling LLMs AI, then, you know, social media algorithms are definitely AI then. Like, at least that's my take. If we're going to dirty the word or muddle it, like just use it for everything. How like you can get pushed, um, you know, posts from people you're following, but it could show up, you know, later than was intended by the poster, and the algorithm is doing that, and it could be doing that for multiple reasons. One of them is to suppress the cumulative effect of, say, having negative information happen to, say, the state all at once. So if you have, you know, say the trucker convoy, so you have this big convoy of people, and it grows on social media. Now, imagine what happens, all right, instead of all that information about the trucker convoy happening in real time, it's disseminated to the followers of the people that are there over, say, a couple of weeks. Well, the effect of from, you know, the court of public opinion is dramatically slowed down, and it's broken up. You stop something big from happening before it happens. Now, if I go back to like the AI juries, that's just insane. Just insane. Like the idea of a jury in the first place is not to find the absolute truth. Okay, that's not what a jury is there for. A jury of your peers is there to judge you, to see that if what you did is in accordance with society. Okay, that's why you have this thing that's not really talked about, except outside of the courtroom. Um, what's it called? The jury nullification. What jury nullification is if a jury, say the law says you jaywalked, all right, but the jury decides you didn't jaywalk. They nullified the law. They are the judge is there to arbitrate the law and adjudicate disagreements. If some rule has been broken, they're an administrator of rules. The jury is there to judge you, to see if what you did, again, is in coordination with societal norms. It's why you have, in many instances, juries in the specifically in the United States, with say taxation laws, they may find in favor that you, yes, committed, say, tax fraud, but their judgment when it comes to damages may only be as high as $1. There's a famous case in the United States about that, where that did happen. Like, the idea that you would take the power away from society to judge itself, to enforce its own semblance of what it wants to be from people to AI is just ridiculous. Something that does not have a concept of its own self. Yes, I understand that in laboratory settings, under very extremely controlled settings with extremely detailed and pinpoint prompts, AI has, done things that seem human, like self-preservation. But again, when you have to prompt it and be extremely pinpoint and precise for it to break its own programming, it's not intelligent. It's artificial, but it's not intelligent. It's running a script. That's all it is. You gave it a new script and it is running it. Like, those stories don't mean much at this point in time. But again, you are giving control of something programmed by a few people at the behest of masters who do not give a flying F about, the concept of society policing itself. Like, that's, again, the big idea behind the jury system of randomly selecting, the first pool of people are random, and then, the attorneys in the case whittle it down to who they want the jury to be to a certain extent. Like, the idea that you would randomly pick people from the local area in which a crime was committed so that the community can judge this person is extremely important to the functioning of society. You used to have the reinforcement for, say, small petty crimes was some sort of say public flogging, or being locked in the what do they call it, like the stockades, the things where you're your hands are here and your head's through the wooden thing and you're locked in there and you stay there. It is a public shaming ritual to negatively reinforce good behavior. Do this or you're the outcast. All right? Shamed by all, known by all. Like, that's basically the idea of community involved punishment. Now, in those days, that was the community didn't make the decision, but like the idea of making the community's this decision of is this guy acting in what we as society want to be the norm. Mm-hmm. It's why you see in certain cases where, say, the father of a child who was SA'd or so, those don't really make it to trial because there's enough people who know about jury nullification who will absolutely nullify that. Or in the context of, like, I'm thinking 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, certain low-level drug charges, there were people who would, be like, I don't know, you couldn't prove that was a crime. Or if you look in, political cases that absolutely should have had, or did have jury trials but weren't done correctly. Like, I'm specifically thinking of the Alex Jones case. If Alex Jones was legally allowed to make his case, I don't think he would have lost that. His lawyers were fairly good would have been fairly good at that, and like the case was, it's bananas. Like, when you have precedent being set that that a federal employee is allowed to sue someone who basically does what this is, but Alex Jones is like way bigger and actually does like news and stuff. I just do commentary and analysis, so not the same. Anyways, but that an FBI agent is allowed to sue and get damages. That's the insane part, or one of the insane parts. Like, most of the stuff that in that trial, the people that were suing are not, say, the direct parents of the alleged, like their aunts, uncles, well removed, people that you could not easily identify from the comments that Alex Jones supposedly made. So, but like, again, you should have the community judging these events, and obviously prosecutors should do a better job and be upstanding in their work, but it's really not either here nor there. Like, you're going to get like AIs that will 100% rule based on law sometimes, because for a fact they're going to put like a social credit score involved in the guilty, and you'll get the same BS that you have now but worse. Like, there's no way, like in the UK, that the UK government, if, say, one of those SA gangs goes to trial, there's no way that the UK government of now, or of likely the future, in the near term, is going to allow that AI to return a guilty verdict for those who are obviously guilty as sin. Like, there's no way in hell. Whereas if you get the community to judge that, and you're more than likely to get a guilty verdict. Now, the judge will probably still mess with the case, but again, it's so much better than having the AI in control. Like, because once you get AI judging, saying, hey, are you guilty or not? And then gets into sentencing, it's going to go from there. Eventually, you're going to end up in, like, again, some Sybil system where ultimately it will also be the executioner. Now, you're run by a fucking robot. You like, and to a percentage of the population, it's going to be, something they want. I don't think it would be a large percentage, like, off the bat, but there will be a quite large percentage of people who will, on the sly, like it after they get, have it involved. And I think this is just, don't. Because in essence, even with just the AI jurors, you are effectively giving something at this point in time, right, that cannot, like a lot of AIs, again, cannot give you good information. Most of the time, it's top level shit that you would get from, say, a grade 9 or 10 student who is just done a Google search, or what would have been a Google search, the level of information, and just looked at, like, the top things and been like, okay, write the essay. This is gonna get fucking nuts. And, like, what justification could you have for AI? I'm thinking more morally and philosophically. Could you have to have a fundamentally flawed system? All right, like, there's no way around it. At least with humans, like, we're all flawed, yeah, of course, but we can't. Like, that's the idea of humanity, is the inherent flaws, and that we actually have decision-making capabilities. AI does not. Yeah. I'm not 100% surprised by all this, that this is developing in the UK. Like, you just look at the history of Britain specifically, and I believe this is coming out of London. So, like, just look at this history of the city of London, and you're like, nah, this tracks. They do this dumb shit all the time. Euro-dollar control, attempted euro-dollar control, birth of the euro-dollar, just at a certain point, all right, the rest of the world is just going to have to blockade the UK just until they figure their shit out. I'm not saying we shouldn't do this with more countries. Like, Canada should definitely be blockaded at a certain point, at some point. Just keep your shit in there, and let's see how it goes. All right? We get the people out who can prove that they're good, but, like, everybody else, we're gonna keep you in a country-sized jail because, like, we can't let you out. All right? The world has judged you. All right, that's gonna be the video for today. See you tomorrow with something. Until then, have a good day.